Γονίστα. Τι είναι αυτό, ρε μαλάκα, αυτό είναι το προηγούμενο. Για πάτα στο live.
Έτσι να το κάνουμε refresh.
Να το. Α, ωραία.
Ωραία, είναι στο 1080 γι' αυτό.
Ναι. Εντάξει,
αυτό θα αφήσω. Μια χαρά.
Και μετά θα παίξουμε με πανδώρες και τέτοια.
Ναι. Οπότε θα κάνουμε με το Alt και το Tab. Θα ανοίξω ένα δεύτερο παράθυρο για να έχουμε το Alt και το Tab. Ώστε να μπούμε σε παντόρες και τα σχετικά. Ωραία, λοιπόν. Παντόρια. Το Hub φαντάζομαι δεν το χρειαζόμαστε.
Α, το έχεις ήδη.
Ναι.
Ωραία. Και το Dropbox για να δούμε το presentation.
Δίνει που είναι ήδη συνδεδεμένο, αλλά I'll leave with it for now. Θα κάνω sign out από τα πάντα μόλις μου. Ωραία, αυτά.
Το retraining, άνοιξε.
Έχουμε 3 λεπτά. Ωραία, άρα θα κάνουμε μεταξύ αυτών των δύο με άλλο command. Και αν το βάλω... Αν το βάλω... Έστω ότι το βάζω. Εντάξει.
Με άλλη tab τα αλλάζει αυτό.
Ναι. Α, το βγάζει από full screen. Εντάξει, οκ. Αυτό τα βγάζει από full screen για φορά. Εντάξει, δεν μας νοιάζει να όχι, ναι, μια χαρά.
Αυτό έχει όριο χρονικό στο πόσο μπορεί να κάνει stream ή
όχι. Μέχρι να πεθάνει η μπαταρία.
Μνημόνια μέχρι να σβήσει ο ίδιος. Άρα να τους πω να μαζέψουν οι σειρές.
Ναι.
Hi guys, how are you? Before we begin, before the guys do the amazing presentation, I want to tell you some stuff. First of all, okay, we're doing the presentation earlier, so you're not that tired later. Hey, we're thinking of you then. I always like to keep you happy.
Παρακαλώ.
Second of all,
Δεν είναι εδώ.
because the presentations go too long,
Ναι, στο τρίτο.
and we have to reach our target.
Καλώς.
And I know that you're tired sometimes. Okay, they go too long because of many questions. So what are we going to do now? We're not going to do that many questions, maybe just 1 or 2 questions per slide. Okay. but because I know some of you will have many questions, you can keep them. Okay. Just send your questions, and maybe tomorrow they can do a presentation with all your questions and your answers. What do you think about that? Isn't it better? Huh? Okay. So thank you for that. I will leave the guys for the presentation. One last thing. Please all say Skata to Manos because he has a show on Saturday.
Thank you, Tassos, for the introduction. And now, moving on. Today we'll be dealing with how to link or unlink Google Play for our Android players. What would be the reasons that a player wants to unlink his previous Google Play account? Any ideas? Konstantinos, for example?
He doesn't remember his account credentials. Google Plus credentials.
In this occasion, what would be your first response if he doesn't remember his password, for instance?
Don't pass the ball to another.
But, yeah, we don't pass the ball, but it's going to be faster for the customer as well. Instead of having to pass an AOV or anything, you tell him, okay, you can contact Google. If you remember the security questions, you can get your password back. If he doesn't, though, this is a number 1 case. Another case, another occasion, yep.
Change primary account.
Change of an account. For example, we might have a customer who has started his account, his village rather, with his work email, his Teleperformance GR email, and he decides that he wants to move it to his personal email.
That's the most common one.
Yeah. This is the most common one. Teleperformance. Exactly. Any other case?
If he was using, for example, a game center and linked to another Android device of a relative or a friend or something just to play, and he wants to unlink it so his friend or his relative doesn't have access to it.
Good point. All right.
Has hacked, but still haven't reached his
Game.
yes.
Yeah, this is actually quite rare, but yeah, it might happen. All right. Yeah.
When a lot of players just create a Gmail account, a Google account for one application. So having a lot of them that just they never remember which one it is, what it is, what's the password.
Yeah.
So they lose it.
True that. Cool. So let's move
So
on.
just before we continue, please keep in mind, right? So you already know that when you actually link an account, like a Google Play account or a Game Center account onto your game, the game is not really saved onto those accounts, right? So be careful when you actually think about it this way, right? So the game is always saved on our servers, right? The only reason why you link a Google Play or Game Center is so that you can then restore the village on a device.
Or transfer to another
So
device.
it's not like the progress is saved on those accounts, it's just linked so that we can then restore. Yes?
Many times I have heard that it is easier to restore an account when it is attached.
Yeah. Actually, it is mentioned as save your progress with Game Center or Google Play. Why? Because then you're able to restore your account if
We are
needed.
talking in regards of the player, not us.
Yeah, for the players, yes.
If they remember the credentials, they can restore it on their own without passing an OV.
Yeah.
So it's faster and easier.
There's also an FAQ for that. Save your progress with Game Center or Google Play. Yeah.
How is it possible to see a village without a device?
Without a device.
No account, no device.
Well, if you don't have a device, you cannot play anyway, right?
Yeah, but how is it open? I saw a village without no device. None.
That account hasn't been accessed in a while.
Yeah.
If the device list in Pandora always comes from the sessions. So if there are no sessions for the last 3 months, you get no devices.
So if it was inactive for like 3 years or something, it will be erased.
So you only get 3 months worth of data when it comes to sessions. If there are no sessions, you have no devices. That's how it goes.
With more than 9 months, for example, and still have.
Yeah, well, there are some individual cases, and Pandora usually keeps data up to 3 months old. In the case of devices, because usually devices are, let's say, not as many as sessions, for example, or gems spending, then it might keep them for a longer period of time. So let's move on.
Yeah, let's do it. So this is actually how we consider this to be the case, right?
We
So
gave even more examples.
yeah, we actually get a ticket. We actually have a customer saying, you know what, I have this Gmail account, I don't want this Gmail account, I want the other one, please help me unlink it, right? Usually the request comes from the village that needs to have the process fulfilled, right? So, but that's not always necessarily the situation, right? That's why you may want to always know which village we're actually talking about. Because if the customer is actually asking for something else, maybe you want to clarify, is this a village you want to have this done on, or is it possibly some other village, right? In some cases, people may have forgotten their email password, as we said already, or they may actually want to close the original account and start a new one, which is then linked to another game's name, Google Play account, and so on and so forth, right? In general terms, when we get requests like those, once we actually know exactly what village we want to actually focus on, we need to run the EOV, right? So we need to know we're talking to the owner of the village. Now, as it makes sense, if we're talking about 2 villages, and the account that we want to use is actually linked to the wrong village, obviously we run the EOV on the wrong village, right? So you don't really run the EOV on the village that doesn't even have any Google Play on it. It wouldn't make sense. You would run the EOV on the account that already has a linked account, so that we can then proceed with unlinking. Right.
It's also really important when locating which is the account in question, when making sure about that, to see whether he has recent access.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if he hasn't actually been able to access this account for the last days, then it's probably a lost account case, right? Players are not very specific in what they request, so you might have to have a look at that.
Can we suggest that they contact us from that account, that they want to change the Gmail?
Yes, if we
of course.
realize,
This is the first thing we do.
if we realize,
If you
Contact us from
realize-
the account that you want to change your email.
if we realize they're not contacting us from the village that they want the process to be done.
Yeah, sure.
So what you're saying now is that if I have a Town Hall 4 with a Gmail or a Game Center account inside, and the player comes and he wants his other account, which doesn't have a
Contact us
Gmail,
from that
which is a
account.
Town Hall 9, and it doesn't have no Google or Game Center. You don't OV for that? You OV for this? Oh, yes.
Yeah, but think about it this way. Why would you AOV the account that has no account on it? What you're doing is actually trying to manipulate an account that already has a linked account, right?
Yeah.
So why would you AOV the account that doesn't?
Because we need to see if maybe if it's really his account.
Why would you mind that? Because in the end, the linking part is done by the person, by the customer.
Yeah.
We only do the unlinking part,
It only matters what
right?
got
So
linked,
why
right?
would it matter where it's the Gmail?
There is
You see what I mean?
If there is a case where you have to, if there is a case where you have to swap, if you have to swap the mails, the Google Plays or Game Centers, then yes.
We need to verify both. There is a case where the player
If they are related by device, you don't necessarily
six,
need.
7 without saving them. That's a case.
Without saving the game, what do you mean?
Without connecting.
Right? Yeah, that can happen. That
That's
also,
an OV.
but that wait. You only AOV the account that you want to do the manipulation of. Right? So there's no point AOVing an account that has no Game Center or Google Play.
Because it doesn't have, it didn't say,
We will discuss it in more detail. But in general terms, the account you want to manipulate, that's the one you run the AOV on. We actually consider
The one which you actually alter something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
If you don't make any changes in Pandora,
right? So imagine it the other way. To put it in another way, you AOV the account that has no linked accounts, and then you perform actions on an account that we don't even know belongs to the same player. That doesn't make sense either, right? So you do want to make sure that the account you will be manipulating belongs to the person contacting you. That's the point. Right. So moving on, we run the AOV. We have a successful AOV. So the first thing we do, because it's an Android account, remember that, we need to ask the player to perform some actions on the game, right? So for us to facilitate this process, we have decided to actually stream it, right? So we have
our guinea pig.
our guinea pig, and it doesn't sing. Is it actually streaming? Because it's not. Because it lost connection. Of course it did.
No, it should have.
It's fine. It's fine. Give it a second. Wait for it. It is trying to load. So, no, it's not, because mine says off και 40. Right.
Renew it maybe?
I did.
You did.
Okay, so exactly because the connection has been lost, my system will not allow. Maybe I should start over then. Should I? Okay.
Okay, it's cool.
It's live?
Yeah.
Oh, it's live. Okay, good. So, assuming that we send the customer the request to sign out from the game, all we really have to do is actually come here to the connected part, click on it. Yes. Yeah, in around 10 seconds we will see it happening. Right, so the moment I disconnect it, the only thing that the system will say, which will come up very soon, is that I have been disconnected. So there's a red button now instead of a green one, right? At some point in life. There you go.
Magic!
Yay! Right. So practically, what you're asking the customer to do is just that, right? So if the button is not already red in the settings, you ask them to make sure it is, right? So that's the first step we take. Then we need to have the customer telling us, yes, I've done that. And then we proceed with the unlinking, right?
The reason is that if it doesn't manually disconnect, even if we do the whole process in Pandora, actually it will reconnect immediately by its own the moment that he launches the application,
So
and then it's going to have to start all over again.
So it's either that we didn't do anything really, or that we're going through a loop. So there's no point in any of those, right? So make sure they do that first, and then proceed with the unlinking, right? So to perform the unlinking, all we have to do is go to Pandora. I'll look for my account again. Andy.
Any account.
Any.
Any account.
I want any account. It doesn't matter.
Any account, 11 account.
Okay.
It's important. Give it a
Okay.
All right. So seriously. So once I'm in my account, right? Even though I just did what I should have done, this item is still here. You've seen this before. You know exactly how it works, right? So all I have to do is go to the trash bin. In this case, we have confirmation from Supercell that we can actually use the no ticket option. Don't do this ever. Only have a ticket to do this, right? That's very important.
For training purposes.
Yeah. I'm gonna say.
But as you know, for any action that you take in Pandora, you always have to leave the ticket URL, right?
Right. So the moment I do that, I actually save the case and done.
Voila.
Right? So it's as simple as that, really. So the node has been created. Please notice that the account that was unlinked is actually part of the node, so that you can tell exactly what actions you took. And that will help you also in case your customers come back and tell you the same problem is still here.
Yeah.
And then you go back to Pandora and you see that the same account is again linked to the village, which will help you understand exactly what they may or may not have done. Right? So it's always a good idea to check what happened, and that's exactly why the notes do include the Game Center or Google Play account you had linked, so that you can then have some kind of reference, right?
And in the case, just a small note, in the case that you have a returning customer which actually tells you that I'm facing the same problem, and you come and see that he has the same Google Play that you previously removed, you're going to do the same thing once again, but this time you could ask for a screenshot to confirm that he indeed has disconnected.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes,
What
of course.
do you see?
I see the exact same thing. There's no change.
Okay, there was not a pop-up, please.
No.
And
No.
if you reinstall the game,
Yeah, and you repeat the last part, of course. You have
Come
to
again?
link it.
if you reinstall the game, do you?
Yes, because I have no way of.
Yeah, I said that if you have
Yes. Go.
if you have a player who comes back to you and tells you that I'm still facing the same problem after you do the unlinking part, you go to the Pandora and you see that he is indeed again connected to Google Play, and it's the same Google Play that you see removed through the notes. So this means that probably the player didn't manually disconnect. So you're going to run the same procedure, but this time when you send him and tell him please confirm your disconnection, you can ask for a screenshot as well of this particular screen with the red button, just to make sure that the player did the whole process correctly.
And that the disconnected button is actually there.
Okay, and when we have a screenshot, okay, and then he says that this is happening again, so he goes in the account again and clicks connect, and the Gmail is still in his device, so he connects to the same place.
It's his problem. He has to choose the correct email, right?
Okay, how many times should we reply to this? Because I have the exact same thing now, and I'm in the third time.
You have done the process already twice for the player,
And it's the same number.
and you've made it clear that you need to
I have a
input.
screenshot that says disconnect. That's why I asked.
Yeah, but saying disconnected doesn't really mean that the account is not already set up on the device. For as long as the account remains on the device.
Any Gmail account he has, this Gmail account from his device.
Yeah, he could as well uninstall the application and reinstall it.
Yeah. But then again, are you sure they actually went through the settings of the device to remove the Gmail account? Because maybe they never did. Maybe they are actually keeping the account in the settings of the device, and that's why it actually keeps connecting to that.
Can I ask a screenshot from that?
Yeah, well, I don't see why not. Yeah, of course you can. So that you can actually confirm exactly what they see and how they should proceed, right? So that should be all. Now, in any case, let me actually show you what's going to happen if I press a disconnect, which will take 20 seconds to come up.
It's loaded, and the time is frozen.
Yeah, either way. Oh no, it's not. Okay, it's good. It's good.
Yes, John,
It's gonna take half a minute to refresh.
Previous ticket where the agent prompted the customer to go
Oh.
and contact us through
That was fast.
Disconnections.
through a new game. What happened?
the reason for the contact.
Play the ball again.
Yeah, there always is a reason when you tell the player to contact from a new village, right? Did the player want to move his?
Yes, that's what he asks for. And the agent told him that you have to create a new village and contact us through there to change your account credentials, your ID.
This depends on the case, actually.
I don't know why. I've seen many cases coming from.
The only occasion is that I can imagine is when the player tells you that okay, I'm talking about a different account where I want to do the whole process. So in this occasion, yes, you tell him just contact from this account and refer to the ticket ID.
Okay, if you have a case, we can always check it.
To
Still.
be honest with you, yeah, if you have such a specific case, you can always Slack me, so I can check the ticket. And you know, the good bay guys sometimes follow procedures of their own. For example, when banning an account for the owner verification for hacked accounts, they sometimes do it for 7 days instead of 2. I don't know why, we don't really care.
It can happen, but in the end, if you have a case, we can actually take a look at it. Cool. We can take we can take a look at it.
Slack and we can discuss about
Cool.
it later.
Yes.
Very nice to say that the customer go back again. And
Yeah, unless there's a reason for that, of course, right?
I had one like this.
Just a second though, because
In this case now, where we stand,
Yeah.
the user can connect his village to any Gmail without the village.
you know, there's no limit to how many which account you can actually link it to.
What if the account has a village?
No, that's a limit. That is a limit. Yes, if there is an existing limit, if there is an existing. Yeah, what?
He overrides the village if he does.
Will it? No.
No. The moment the account is permanently linked to a village, you cannot use it. You cannot.
Yeah. What happens to the rest of the device that he might link with this account and he did not have access to remove the Gmail account from them as well while we did the process? Let's say I'm playing my village on my iPhone device, but I have installed it on my iPad and I have it here at the tablet as well. I have the ability right now to remove it from the phone where I'm usually playing it, but I don't have access on my iPad or my tablet. I'm going with the process for my iPhone and I'm doing all this, but on the other two devices, I think you got the point.
Yeah,
I
you
have
refer
left
to
my old Gmail account or Game
He
Center
refers
or
to
whatever.
removing the game center from.
Actually, if Game Center you don't remove because we know that we don't have to follow this procedure on iPhones, right?
Yeah, but
so
let's stick to Samsung devices,
yes,
for
exactly.
example.
Let's move to Android. Let's think Android in this case. So
Do we know real time what it happens? Or is that the case that we were saying yesterday? It might be playing for a little bit, it's not saving progress, and eventually it will ask for the password again or change accounts.
what actually I haven't seen this, but I have seen something that looks very close. First things first, you know that when you connect to the account, if any other device is playing that account, it gets disconnected. That's one thing, right? So there's no way you can play the account on the same device.
Okay, so at the moment that I will try to play it on the other one,
It will disconnect you from the device you're playing in at the moment. That's one thing, right? But remember, that's one thing. Now, the moment you actually reconnect to the same device, the system will come up with this, and it will ask you to connect to a Google Play account. In that situation, if you select the wrong account, it will tell you this account is linked to another village, or this village is already linked to another Google Play account, and you will be asked to use the same. Right? So that's how it usually works. I've seen this happening in my game. I've seen the Google Play games logo come up and actually asking you to connect to an account. So you select the correct account, you should be able to proceed. All right. So assuming that all was done perfectly and everything is actually done the way it should be, then the last thing I have to do is select my account. I've just selected my own name, and in some seconds the system should reload with my account already linked to the village, which we will check through Pandora, by the way. So let's see. And yep, we're done. Excellent. So all that I have to do now is actually verify that indeed.
Just renew it.
Exactly.
Παρακαλώ.
And yes, we have reconnection. Right? So all that I had to do is actually reconnect to the game, which I've done. And right now, as you can see, everything seems to be normal again. The point remains is that the same number that actually comes up in the support notes also comes up in my Google Play here, because simply I use the same account, right? So I chose to do that because I wanted to. But the fact remains is that the player obviously shouldn't select the same number, right? So the fact remains that